miscommunication, Red Rover, and cauliflower. Of course I long for love. Who doesn't? That special someone to sweep me off my feet? The sine qua non, my alpha, my beta, the meat for my potatoes, the one and only, the soul mate. Of course I want this, but I remain miscommunication. Following Helen and Troy's fur baby shower, they hosted a housewarming fiesta at their new digs in Nightdale. They pattered endlessly about how great it was to have a fenced-in backyard, a garage, and space for their cauliflower, especially now that we can mix and mingle to our heart's content, minus the miserable masks. Someone, well after midnight, someone mentioned a pride ride Trek Carey had sponsored, and that got Helen and Troy going on and on about how difficult it had been for them to find new bicycles. Seems COVID has led to a dearth of bikes in bike shops, which forced them to expand their search to the seedy side of consumption. They resorted to searching the www in their quest, and Craigslist introduced them to some man out in Cary who they bought a bike from for Troy. Seems he had dozens of bikes hanging from hooks in his garage, but search as he may, none was a glass slipper that fit Helen's foot. Still, they were so pleased with him and Troy's bike that Helen gave him her email and said to let her know if he came across a similar one for her, and lo and behold, not a week later, they were back in Cary picking up a used bike for Helen. She made it sound like a Cinderella story, and I'd been ruminating about finding something outside Anytime Fitness to add to my self-care routine, so I got the guy's email. I get home just after 3 and send him an email outlining the pertinence. It's 3:14 in the morning, so I figured he wouldn't respond right away, but he answered immediately. We emailed back and forth a few times, and within 20 minutes, he'd sent me a Craigslist ad for this Adorbs giant racing bike. At first, I was a bit confused. I mean, at 5'6", I'm tall for him, but I'm hardly a giant. Seems Giant is the brand and TCR is the model, and he suggested I swing by his place the next morning. Even though he seemed nice, I nixed going to his place, and instead, we made arrangements to meet at the New Hope Church trailhead of the American Tobacco Trail. I mean, I know Helen and Troy gave him 2 thumbs up, but a gal can't be too careful. Just before I fell asleep, I sniggered at our meeting place's name, New Hope Church Trailhead. I couldn't help but wonder if Trailhead was anything like Roadhead. We'd arranged to meet at 2, and he emailed me at 1:30 that he was on his way. Then he emailed me at 2:15 to let me know that he was parked on the far northeast side of the lot and was driving a red Corolla. I responded that I was on my way, isn't voice to text just to die for, and told him I was driving a red Range Rover. I was there well before 2:30, and I spied some old man Rambo wannabe wearing a bike jersey that he'd stripped the sleeves off, a red headband, and mismatched shoes. I was skeptical, but parked, got out of Red Rover, and approached Craigslist Cary. He greeted me with a smile and said, "You must be miscommunication," before telling me his name and extending his hand. OMG, never have I encountered a more sweaty man. His hand oozed, his head dripped, and when he took the cute-as-can-be Giant off of the bike rack, he sweated all over it. I nearly vomited. I didn't want to, but I fled. The last thing I wanted to do was waste my time driving all the way to meet up with Rambo and leave empty-handed, but I just couldn't. Ugh! If there's anything grosser and ruder than sweaty old Rambo, I've never encountered it. Guess I'll have to wait until bikes are plentiful again before I buy one. At least retailers don't sweat all over their merchandise.